Good evening. Health authorities have...
These vehicles may or may not have mechanical...
It will be a trial within a trial.
Louise Neimer at the Ontario...
The city does have a bylaw that requires...
August 18th, 1981. This is Toronto. TTC Contract Vote. The Spadina surprise. Dennis, no menace. CityPulse with Gord Martineau, Deanie Petty, John Saunders, and the CityPulse News team brings you Toronto's news.
Good evening. We should know before 7 o'clock tonight the results of a contract ratification vote by TTC drivers and maintenance workers. The ballots from the more than 6,000 members of the Amalgamated Transit Workers Union Local 113 are being counted right now. We'll bring you details as soon as they are available. And Metro's librarians and library assistants and library maintenance workers voted to strike September 9th unless the library board comes up with a better wage offer. After a cliffhanger election, it's now official. Ward 6 Alderman Dan Heap is the Member of Parliament for Spadina. Heap defeated Liberal candidate Jim Coots by 214 votes in yesterday's contest, and Conservative Laura Sabia trailed Heap by 1,005 votes.
It was business as usual for Toronto's newest MP today. A still stunned Dan Heap was at City Hall with his wife Alice, conferring with colleagues and receiving congratulations from all over. In victory, David was gracious to Goliath.
I thought he was a real gentleman when he came to my committee room. I think it's a very, very hard thing for him to do, and I thought he did it well.
Last night's results took observers by surprise. Most felt Liberal Jim Coots would win narrowly in the traditionally Liberal riding, but the ethnic vote did not materialize for the Liberals. Our economic problems evidently hurt. CityPulse political specialist Colin Vaughan tonight reviews yesterday's vote.
Did we win?
With that, Ward 6 Alderman Dan Heap was rewarded for 25 years of belief in a cause, 25 years of commitment to his community, and 25 years slugging it out as a committed socialist. Last night, the 55-year-old Anglican priest proved that hard work pays off. Sanctimonious may be, scruffy, yes, but the devotion, the determination, the doggedness cannot be questioned.
The reason we won is that we are a party and a movement that can bring working people from all over this city and all over this country to win a battle on behalf of the working people of Canada and Spadina.
And in elections, there are winners and losers.
I've been in a few campaigns which we've won, and I've been in a few campaigns which we've lost, and I've been in a few campaigns which were squeakers, and this is what you call a squeaker that we lost. And so...
We'll make it the next time round.
This by-election may have marked the end of the era when the Liberals could count on immigrants knee-jerking their way to the polls. In the West End of Spadina, thousands of potential Liberal voters sat on their hands. A protest. There were 4 winners last night in Spadina. Dan Heap, a decent, sincere man. Laura Sabia, who outstripped the performance of her party. Peter Stollery, the former MP, now a senator. And a humanized Jim Coots,
That's what I like.
who has now met face-to-face the voters who for years were not much more than numbers in a public opinion poll. Were there only tears for Coots? He must have wondered this morning as he read the headlines. Why was the good news so late? What if the voters had known last week? What if? Colin Vaughan, Spadina Riding, CityPulse.
And now you're ready for this one. Spadina voters will gear up to go to the polls again this fall in a by-election to fill the vacant Alderanik seat in Ward 6. And hold on to your bicycle grips. Already the name of John Sewell is being mentioned at City Hall as a possible candidate in that by-election. CityPulse's coverage of the Ward 6 by-election begins right now. As expected, CityPulse's Stephen Lewis has a smile on his face tonight for the obvious reason that Dan Heap of the NDP took the by-election yesterday in Spadina riding. Here he is with tonight's editorial comment.
You know the NDP, we're utterly incorrigible. Today, Spadina, tomorrow the world. There are probably some New Democrats who believe that there's a straight line between the by-election and forming a government. Alas, it doesn't work that way, but that by-election was a splendid antidote to the subversive charlatans and Philistines who inhabit the Liberal Party. And it taught a number of valuable truths. First of all, it taught that the Liberals can't assume an automatic right of succession in any riding. They can't dictate the terms to the body politic. Jim Coots, reduced to mortal size, has learned that painful lesson. Number two, it was a terrific kick in the slats for Pierre Trudeau and the entire Liberal administration. And it was a long time coming, and it was worth delivering. It amounted to a rejection of arrogance. Number three, it was in effect the results, that is, a call to action. It said the economy is the central issue in the by-election. And that what was so morally reprehensible about the Liberal campaign was to pretend otherwise. And finally, the results of the election show that you should never give up. That's the beauty of democratic action. You fight, you protest, you scream, you vote, and you turf the rascals out. Last night at the campaign victory party, Dan Heap was asked what his three priorities were. He said, first, world peace. Second, worker control of the economy. And third, an end to social injustice. It all sounds a little far-fetched and romantic, but how much better a sound than the cynics who went before.
A lot of people spend time with telescopes and binoculars scanning the skies for UFOs. But last night, all the fancy equipment wasn't necessary for one family in Pickering. CityPulse's Barbara Laskin explains why.
Was it a bird? Was it a plane? No, but it sure scared Doug and Karen Rispoli, not to mention their 10-year-old son Ken, who just missed being sliced by the first identified flying object ever to hit the Rispoli driveway and leave its imprint forever.
What did you see?
Well, first a flash and a crash. Well, the crash first, then it flashed and bounced. It sounded like a hubcap bouncing across the driveway. And we just sat and looked. My first reaction was somebody's on my roof throwing something off.
Karen, were you frightened by this mysterious object?
At first it was more shock and surprise. I wasn't frightened until I realized how close my son had been to it.
This is the piece of plane that surprised a lot of people. It's an access door to an oil tank filler. Small, weighs about 3.5 pounds, and is made from aluminum. At this point, investigators here at Transport Canada don't know from which plane it fell, and they're still investigating.
I don't feel that it was maintained properly for it to even come off like that.
According to Transport Canada, accidents of this type occur at least once a year. The probable cause? Natural air vibrations causing the hinge to wear down and pop open. Barbara Laskin for CityPulse.
Transportation authorities in the United States are planning an 8-week investigation to find out whether U.S. airspace is safe without the usual complement of air traffic controllers. That announcement came from Washington today. The same authorities also announced that air traffic controllers had nothing to do with a fatal collision between two light aircraft yesterday over San Jose, California. Here's an update from Rick Davis.
The crash happened over the main library in San Jose. Eyewitnesses say they looked up and saw the two planes spinning toward the ground, one hitting in the grassy area behind the library. The other crashed over two cars in the parking lot. The pilot of one plane was killed. The pilot and passenger in the other plane were seriously injured. Both planes were heading for the San Jose airport when they hit. Both pilots had been in contact with the tower, but at the time of the crash, they were flying under visual flight rules. That means they were not under the jurisdiction of the controllers. An FAA investigator was asked if the controller's strike may have caused the crash.
I don't think I'd like to comment on that too much.
Well, they're saying, some of the ones I've talked to say that this wouldn't have happened had they been on the job instead of the inexperienced personnel that's currently working.
That's their statement.
A representative of the striking union was asked the same question.
The only thing I can say is that there are no members of the Professional Air Traffic Controllers Organization at work at San Jose Tower.
If the crash had happened on any other day of the week, things could have been a lot worse. But the library is closed on Monday. Rick Davis, NBC News.
In the meantime, controllers definitely had nothing to do with an airliner mishap in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where a passenger jet careened off the runway. Here's that story from correspondent Bonnie Anderson.
Pan American spokesmen say the 727 aborted its takeoff after the main landing gear collapsed. The plane, carrying 58 passengers and 7 crew members, skidded off the end of the runway at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood Airport and then settled into a muddy area. Firefighters rushed to the scene and sprayed foam around the belly of the aircraft to cool it down. Although the jet did not catch on fire, eyewitnesses say they saw flames coming from the engines before the plane came to a stop.
A Pan Am jet 727 was coming across from the hangar here, and a couple of engine exploded, not to say exploded in pieces, surges where flame would jet out. He decided to abort his takeoff, and he applied his reverse thrusters. When he got down right over here, I ran out here saying he ain't going to make it.
The passengers evacuated the plane immediately using emergency slides from one side of the aircraft. 3 people were treated for minor injuries. A 4th is under observation at a local hospital. Pan Am officials say the aborted takeoff of Flight 953, which was bound for Houston and Las Vegas, is under investigation. Bonnie Anderson, NBC News, Fort Lauderdale.
There is some good news for air travelers tonight. Ward Air has announced a 24% fare cut on tickets to 5 major European centers starting October 1st. The move comes as a direct attack on Air Canada, which started an airfare war about 3 weeks ago. Air Canada announced a charter program to Florida, Hawaii, Colorado, Mexico, and the Caribbean, with fares more than $100 cheaper than last year's rates. 3 jumbo jets have delivered what's being billed as one of the CNE's star attractions this year, a full-scale mock-up of the American Space Shuttle Columbia. When the CNE gates open tomorrow, just head for the geodesic dome called the Shuttle Sphere. And we got a little preview today of another CNE attraction, Dominion Aquarama 81, down at the CNE waterfront. Talented young water skiers demonstrated their routines for CityPulse cameraman Keith Wilson. And Keith caught 20-year-old Kevin Cowan of Toronto skiing barefoot into the break wall. Kevin was winded, but luckily he wasn't badly hurt. Coming up next on City Pulse at 6, Kevin Evans, getting away from it all. That story when we come back. The hustle and bustle and pressures of everyday life get to all of us every once in a while. City Pulse's Kevin Evans is no exception. Today he visited Tranquility Tanks on Sherburne Street to slow life to a snail's pace for a couple of hours and relax.
Brian Britton's been co-owner of Toronto's Tranquility Tanks for about 1.5 years now. The company's relatively new, but the tanks date back to 1954, and a New York neurophysiologist, Dr. John Lilly. It's $20 for a 1-hour float.
Here's your tank. There's about, as you can see, about 9 inches of water in there. Just step in, close the door, and lay out. Have a nice float, and I'll see you in an hour.
A quick shower, and it's the tank. The premise is as simple as relaxation itself.
One of the advantages of the tank is that it's a very quick way of getting into a very, very deep state of relaxation. Much deeper than you would get in that period of time in meditation or massage, which I have experience in both of them. There is absolutely no sensory input at all. There are no distractions. There's nothing, you don't have any other choice but to focus on you and what's happening with you. And as that awareness increases of yourself, you naturally start to let go and relax.
I really don't know how long I've been in here now. You tend to lose all sense of time. I also thought I might be a little bit claustrophobic. This is what it looks like on the outside, but this is what it looks like in here. You can't see a thing. You can't see that you're inside a box. So for that matter, I could be floating in space with all sorts of room around me, so that tends to take away the claustrophobic fear.
What's scary is being alone with their own thoughts and feelings. The tank isn't scary.
Your body and the water are at the same temperature, and you just forget that you're lying in water. You literally feel like you're floating. And frankly, the last thing I feel like doing is talking right now. So you'll have to excuse me.
Most people come out with a big kind of grin on their faces, and they're very slow. And they don't want to talk a lot. They just kind of want to go outside into the sunshine.
A little rotten. Well, the word is refreshed. Absolutely no doubt about it. One thing bothers me, though. Are these sensory isolation tanks just another fad of the me generation?
I don't think stress is a fad, and I think the tanks will be around as long as stress is around.
Kevin Evans, CityPulse.
Across Canada tonight, firefighters in Western Canada are continuing their battle against several major blazes. In Alberta, firemen are holding the line against a big forest fire about 12 kilometers outside of Swan Hills. But officials tell CityPulse the fire still remains a potential threat. And firefighters in Saskatchewan and British Columbia are hoping for rain tonight. A prolonged drought has left forests there very dry. Tropical storm Dennis drenched southern Florida for the second consecutive day today, but the storm could yet pose a real danger, just depending on where it goes next. Here's that story from Ike Siemens.
Forecasters at the National Hurricane Center in Miami estimate that Tropical Storm Dennis has dumped as much as 10 inches of rain on parts of South Florida. It's badly needed because of a drought which is the worst here in 10 years.
This storm, as we look back, is going to be a very positive experience. The rain we need, we're getting that. The winds we don't need, and we're not getting that. So we're very fortunate that this didn't strengthen into a hurricane. We've got a tropical storm, and that's what we're experiencing out here is what tropical storms are all about.
But when Dennis moves out over the Atlantic, probably sometime tomorrow, it may regain the power it lost over land. If that happens, forecasters warn Dennis could reform and even become a hurricane, which could threaten the southeastern United States. Ike Siemens, NBC News, Miami.
Back at home, a footnote tonight to the by-election in Spadina. Those of you who follow politics and the daily betting line will remember this exchange late in July between our intrepid political specialist Colin Vaughan and conservative leader Joe Clark.
Joe, would you think that if you ran from third to second place in Spadina, that would be a victory?
We're running second now, Colin, and we intend to be running first on the 17th of August.
But your own polls show you're running third.
My own polls show we're running second, and the polls of the people of Spadina on the 17th of August will show Laura Sabia running first and sitting as the Member of Parliament for Spadina in the House of Commons.
Like to make a bet?
Sure, I'll make a bet.
Okay, $10.
20.
20, you're on.
20, you're on. All right. Okay.
As you know, unlike the Liberals, we Conservatives keep to our arrangements, and Mr. Clark has asked me to present you with the $20 that he bet you on the campaign.
Thanks very much. I'm sorry he couldn't come down himself.
Well, he wasn't able to make it today, but he's asked me to give it to you with his compliments. It was a great race, and we expect to win it next time.
Okay, well, you tell Joe that the next time he's in town, if he wants to get some of it back, he should call me up. I'll take him to lunch.
Right. Thank you very much, Colin.
Coming up next on City Pulse at 6, Jay Nelson says the perfect weather will continue. And on the entertainment front, Jeannie Becker with a very passionate lady. That and more when we come back.
Now, the City Pulse News Test. What Toronto ward does Alderman Dan Heap represent? If you know the answer, call us at 870-9112. The seventh correct caller wins a pair of tickets to the Police Picnic Rock Concert, August 23rd.
If you're a complainer, you're definitely out of luck. We're in for weather that's not too hot, not too cool, not cloudy, and not rainy. So there. The forecast now. Here's Jay Nelson.
Fabulous, spectacular, wonderful, marvelous, all those things apply to our weather. Great week here, but frost down in West Virginia and record overnight lows in 25 U.S. cities. And around our own Sault Ste. Marie, the temperatures got down to 2 degrees Celsius overnight. But look at us. Beautiful day here at Q Beach. Here's our forecast. For this evening, clear and a low temperature of 13 degrees. That's about in the mid-50s for sleeping. Tomorrow morning, we'll have sunshine. Tomorrow afternoon, 1 or 2 high clouds will move in, but that's about it. For tomorrow evening, more clear weather. A high of 24 degrees Celsius, about 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Thinking about going to the CNE? Boy, you're going to have a great time. You really will be laughing. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Our 3-day forecast. sunshine right across the board. And the average temperature on those 3 days, 26 degrees Celsius or just about 79 degrees Fahrenheit. If you're traveling and leaving this spectacular stuff, let's have a look now at our traveler's map. Dennis, the tropical storm is giving Miami thunder showers and 31 degrees, Montreal and 22 with sun, Vancouver 24 and even more sun, Dallas and warm and partly cloudy at 33, Los Angeles fair 28, New York City sunshine and 28 degrees. So for Lake Ontario, this forecast is valid until 5 p.m. tomorrow. The winds will be variable to northeast 5 to 15 knots and the weather will be fair. Speaking of fair, I'd like to call it spectacular. Just great weather we've got coming up right through Saturday, as a matter of fact. Temperature will remain in the mid to high 20s Celsius. It's just going to be a great week. One of the best I've had a chance to report on. I'm Jay Nelson with a lot of wonderful people at Q Beach, just next to the boardwalk for CityPulse weather.
There is a one-woman show called Passionate Ladies now playing at the Teller's Cage Dinner Theater, and it stars a lady who can tap dance her way into your heart. On the entertainment scene tonight, the story from CityPulse's Jeannie Becker.
The only music that Barbara Perry needs when she dances is the music of her own soul. Barbara, the star of a one-woman extravaganza called Passionate Ladies, is a highly seasoned performer with numerous Broadway shows to her credit. Her Passionate Ladies is a smash hit, even won an LA Drama Critic Award. It's about 5 different characters she's encountered in her career, from a brilliant tap dancer to a stoned-out Shakespearean professor to a down-to-earth stripteaser. Each character sketch Barbara offers is packed with passion.
Passion and pride and dignity and accomplishment, even though, and being a winner, even though you're not famous. And, you know, some people that you may see on this, you may see a cobbler and say he's a loser, but if he makes a magnificent pair of tap shoes and tap dancers come from all over to him to have him make their tap shoes because no one else can make them like him, that is art. And that is a pride in what he does. And if you're magnificent in anything, like you in your job.
Oh, gee, thanks.
That's, you know, doing it proudly. And as the stripper says, I mustn't quote her again, but she says, you got to have respect for what you do, otherwise don't do it.
You've got such an incredible amount of energy. How do you do it? How do you keep fit?
I take it easy all day. I really do. What was it, Sarah Bernhardt that said... never stand up if you can sit down, and never sit down if you can lie down. That's what I do all day long.
You save your energy.
But I work at night. I work it all off. Then I practice. I have to go to the back in the kitchen and do 32 fouettes so I can do 16 here in tap shoes, which are slippery. You know, it's not like doing them in ballet shoes, so I really have to keep those up. For a lady my age, that's a lot of stepping.
You can see Barbara Perry in all her energetic glory in Passionate Ladies on at the Teller's Cage through till September 19th. Now here's a look at what else is on in town tonight. If you can make it down to Pier 6 by 8, there's a boat cruise featuring Teenage Head on the SS Caledonia. Tickets are $20. At the El Macombo tonight, it's Peter Hamill, who used to be with the group Vandergraaf Generator back in the 60s. Hamill goes on stage at 7 and 11. A cappella fans will delight in the Nylons. The local singing group plays the Ontario Place Forum at 8:30. And for fans of the local group The Lincolns, well, that band is celebrating its 2nd year anniversary tonight with a happy bash at the Nag's Head, 7270 Woodbine, north of Steeles. But if you're just planning on staying in tonight, City's great movie at 8 is No Other Love, a true story about a young retarded couple who fall in love and are determined to marry. And at 11, it's Castle Keep, a war movie with Burt Lancaster and Peter Falk. Whatever your plans, have a good evening. I'm Jeannie Becker on the entertainment scene for CityPulse.
A new version of an old idea is helping in the delivery of babies. It's called the birthing chair. Here's Howard Jaffe.
Among the other new additions on the maternity ward is the birthing chair. In an increasing number of deliveries, it is the birthing chair that is replacing the delivery table. It is not so much a matter of new technology as it is a variation on a concept that doctors and mothers have known about for a long time. The chair is a refinement of methods that had expectant mothers squatting in a field in Asia or over a birthing pit in Africa. It has an important advantage over the table.
It's more natural for a woman to deliver in a sort of sitting position to let gravity help her expel the baby.
The chair costs $5,000. It tilts and adjusts to make the delivery as easy as possible. Marilee Grage is 20 years old. Her brand new baby is 1.5 hours, that is. Mother and son are fine, in fact, terrific. Marilee delivered in the chair.
I could really feel the difference from laying down in the labor room than being upright in the delivery room. I thought that they would still strap us down, but they didn't, and I thought that was real nice.
There are other advantages as well, because some doctors view the lying position as unnatural for childbearing.
What happens is that sometimes some of the blood vessels that the baby sits on are compressed, and so it therefore decreases the amount of blood supply to the uterus and therefore to the baby. So this is a much more medically acceptable position.
500 of these birthing chairs are in use around the country, gradually changing the decor of the delivery room. Howard Jaffe for NBC News.
North Americans seem to be ready to try just about anything to stay in shape. Witness the hula hoop craze of the late 50s. More recently, the interest in jogging. Tonight, CityPulse's Dr. Art Uleen talks about one method of staying in shape that's been working wonders for centuries, the ancient art of yoga.
Most people focus on building strength and endurance during exercise. That's what programs like jogging and lifting weights are designed to do. But one body need which is commonly neglected is flexibility. One of the best ways to meet that need is through a discipline that's been around for 5,000 years. It's called yoga.
There are several varieties of yoga. One primarily concerned with posture, stretching, relaxation, and proper breathing is called Hatha yoga. Translated, Hatha yoga means the integration of the physical, mental, and spiritual through exercise. The difficult-to-achieve postures, such as the lotus position shown here by instructor Gail Rothman, have been scientifically validated. They have been proven effective in not only increasing flexibility, but reducing stress, lowering blood pressure, and overcoming back pain. Yoga exercises fall into 3 categories: those which focus on building stamina, strengthening exercises, and those purely for flexibility. The flexibility exercises differ from many other stretching exercises in that they emphasize a so-called soft approach. The 11th commandment of Hatha yoga is, do not strain yourself.
Letting everything be soft.
There are some drawbacks to yoga. It is not an aerobic exercise, and so it will do very little for improving heart, lung, or circulatory function. And it's not something you can jump into with the expectation of quick results. Be prepared to spend 20 to 30 minutes a day, every day, for at least 5 or 6 weeks before you start to feel any benefit from it. But if you can discipline yourself to do it, yoga can be a very valuable adjunct to an aerobic exercise program.
One of the biggest problems associated with the practice of yoga is finding a proper teacher. There is no magic rule except to avoid a teacher who pushes you too far or too fast in the stretching part of the program to the point where you hurt. If you're not enjoying your yoga, you're not doing it the way it should be done.
For more information, send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Dr. Art Uleen, care of CityPulse News, 99 Queen Street East, Toronto. Postal code M5C 2M1.
From yoga to tennis, as Jim Taddy presents CityPulse Sports, coming up right after this. The men's championships have wrapped up in Montreal, so now we focus on York U.
Some great action today. Unlike the men's Canadian Open last week in Montreal, the ladies this week at York University is not having any problem with the weather. A great day to watch tennis. In fact, many did. The highlight of the day of this match featuring Hanna Mandlikova of Czechoslovakia against Yvonne Vermaak. Mandlikova started off on the wrong foot. Vermaak worked herself into 3-1 and 4-2 leads in the first set. Then Mandlikova shifted into high gear, totally throttled her opponent the rest of the way. She won it 6-4 and 6-love. Mandlikova is the first real big name to see action. We caught Tracy Austin. You see her there doing some warm-ups this morning. She attracted a very good-sized crowd, and she even broke her partner's racket. She will see action tonight against Pam Cassell. Navratilova will see doubles action tonight. Chris Everett won't see action until tomorrow. She's had the first 2 days off. Another matchup today here, Regina Marsakova against Ann Hobbs. Here Marsakova finishes off the match. She wins it 6-3 and 6-3. The Argos have been going through some grueling workouts this week. This afternoon's another 2.5-hour special. They are still looking, as you know, for win number 1. And with Jim Corrigal back in the lineup, many feel that will come on Sunday.
Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out. Welcome back to that same old place that you laughed about. Well, the names have all changed since you hung around, but those dreams have remained and they've turned around. Who'd have thought they'd need ya? Who'd have thought they'd need ya? Back here where we need ya. Back here where we need ya. Yeah, we tease him a lot, 'cause we got him on the spot. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Jim Corrigal is officially back. It's been almost a year since Corrigal has seen action with the Argos, and during that time, the Double Blue has managed just 1 win. Corrigal's return is being billed as just what the doctor ordered to help the ailing Argos, some experience for the defense, and he's the kind of guy that brings out the best in other players. But don't think it's been easy for Corrigal to watch Argo defeat after defeat.
Well, Jim, it's been, very frustrating from the sidelines to observe our performance. And, in the first 3 or 4 ball games we were in there, and we just ran out of time. And that's the only way I can explain it. Well, when you view it from the sidelines and you view it as a spectator and as a coach, it's frustrating.
He gets everybody else pumped up. He's an excitable type guy, and he's a little bit crazy when it goes to time to play football, and that's what you need on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, we tease him a lot, 'cause we got him on the spot. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
The Argos have been fined $2,000 by the CFL. The league has ruled the Argos tampered with Tiger Cat property when they signed Ralph Sazio a couple of weeks ago. The Canadian Ladies Softball Championship has started. Peter checked out the opening day's action.
This group of athletes are the women from Whitehorse in the Yukon, representing the Yukon in the Canadian Women's Senior Softball Championships. And no question about it, they certainly have the brightest uniforms here this week. On the field, though, today, the girls from Alberta played brighter ball. Leading 1-0, they scored a second run in the 3rd inning when Sharon Carver stole 3rd and scored on a wild throw. Those 2 runs would have been enough for Alberta today, as the Yukon batters were frustrated by the aggressive pitching style of Iona Haggard. In the 6th inning, however, Alberta added to their lead. With Sharon Carver on first, catcher Jackie Morris laid down a gentle bunt, and when the Yukon infield threw it into left field, Carver scored all the way from first, and Morris went to 3rd. Alberta went up 4-0 when Sandy Peterson's infield hit scored Morris from 3rd on a close play at the plate. Then Jackie St. Clair drilled a solid single into center. That scored Peterson. It was 5-0 Alberta. In the 7th inning, 2 consecutive pretty bunts by Rose McEachran and Sharon Carver led to a 6th Alberta run. This one was driven in on a single by Jackie Morris. Alberta then loaded the bases with none out, but the Yukon squirmed out of the inning with a nicely executed 5-2-3 double play. Still, Iona Haggard had the Yukon batters' numbers today, stifling them on only 5 hits as Alberta shut out Whitehorse 6-0. Peter Gross in Agincourt for CityPulse.
Peter also found out one of the members of the Nova Scotia team is into mime. He recorded her performance. She played for the 62 Mets, I think.
She looked like Reggie on one of his off days.
Jays and KC tonight.
Now, that is, I didn't know before tonight's sportscast that Corrigal was suiting up again. That's got to be a lot of inspiration for the Argos.
I'll tell you, he's a real inspiration. And not only that, he's a heck of a ball player.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's probably one of the nicest guys you'd want to meet when he's out of uniform. But when he's on the field, look out. Don't talk to Jim Corrigal. We all know that professional sport is big business. Most of us have heard of the people who are high up in the sports world, people like Peter Bavesi, Don Cherry. But how many of us have heard of Air Canada's Pierre Jerome, Imperial Tobacco's Ed Ricard, or Mark McCormick of the International Management Group? Some introductions tonight from CityPulse business specialist Peter Silverman.
These are the people who make the sports scene. They own the clubs, sponsor the tournaments, represent the players. Without them, the multi-billion-dollar sports industry would come to a halt. Today, they told what it's all about, and it just isn't providing entertainment. It's selling the game, selling products, players, or a corporate image. For example, Imperial Tobacco, which sponsors the Peter Jackson Women's Golf Classic or the Players Tennis Tournament. The idea, to associate Imperial Tobacco's products with a particular activity, to create an image which will sell products. It costs Imperial a lot of money, to 20% of its total marketing budget.
Ladies golf tournament right now, we're investing approximately $750,000 a year.
And your company is also involved in this very major tennis tournament. What is that costing you?
Well, because it is a new venture, we always have to invest more the first couple of years. And this year, our investment will be around $950,000.
That's one way to go, to sponsor. It provides flexibility. Skiing may be in this year, out the next. Golf is okay now, but gymnastics is coming on strong, and the sports moguls are watching carefully where to put their dollars. The 1982 Olympics are a good bet.
Coca-Cola providing $13 million in cash to the organizers, as they did in Moscow, to be exclusive official soft drink of the game.
The other way to go is to buy a franchise, like Carling O'Keefe did. It owns the Quebec Nordiques and the Argos. The idea, it was a way to reach consumers and to get them to try and buy Carling O'Keefe products.
We hope to increase our sales for the shareholders. Where it shows up is the loyalty of the fans in terms of their purchase of your products.
Mark McCormick is the largest peddler and marketeer of sports flesh and events in the world. He's so good, he will be representing the Post when he tours Britain. After all, why shouldn't the church make some money from the souvenir hawkers? But in the more earthly realm, there comes a point when the marketing can't do it all. It takes millions of dollars to set up a sports franchise and even more money to get the customers to come, to market and sell it. But in the end, you have to produce a winning team. And that requires something different, a different type of owner, a different type of sports organization. And that can be even more difficult than simply selling the product. That's sports business, and that's business. I'm Peter Silverman, City Pulse.
Next on City Pulse at 6, Treasure in the Deep Blue Sea, the hidden mysteries of the Andrea Doria. That story when we come back.
Our news test answer is Alderman Dan Heap represents Toronto's Ward 6. Tonight's winner receives a pair of tickets to the Police Picnic Rock Concert, August 23rd.
Off the coast, the latest word, by the way, from our TTC drivers and maintenance workers is that we won't find out the results of their contract ratification vote until later this evening. City Pulse's Barbara Laskin is at the Amalgamated Transit Union's headquarters tonight on Hayden Street. She'll have the update, the full story, tonight on City Pulse at 10. As I started out saying, off the coast of Nantucket Island, Massachusetts, a group of treasure hunters may well now be treasure finders. Here's Eric Burns.
The people on this boat are hoping to find treasures from
and an answer too, something that happened 25 years ago. July 25th, 1956. A thick fog, and the Swedish passenger ship Stockholm crashes into the Italian luxury liner Andrea Doria. 52 people are killed, and the Andrea Doria sinks to the ocean's floor, becomes its own tomb. Peter Gimbel is one of those who will soon open it. And by disturbing the ship, he hopes to lay to rest 2 quarter-century-old rumors.
That there's a fortune in gold, cash, jewelry, and other valuables in either the first-class purser's safe or the safe of the Bank of Rome, and this seaworthiness issue. We want to establish that a certain purportedly missing watertight door in a crucial location in the ship either was indeed missing or was in place and in good order.
With regard to the first of the rumors, treasures in the safes of the Andrea Doria, there is this question: to whom would they belong? To Peter Gimbel and his co-workers for raising them from the sea, or to the insurance companies which have already paid claims on them?
The issue of salvage in Admiralty law is cloudy, but we are operating under the very simple premise that to the salvors belong the spoils.
Or finders keepers, to make it even more simple.
Something like that, to make it very simple, yes.
Every day this month, Peter Gimbel and other divers have gone down to the ship in the sea.
Diving team, our saturation team, is down inside the wreck at this time, clearing debris away from the location of the safe of the Bank of Rome. When the debris has been removed and we've actually exposed the first this safe and then the other, we will rig them, hoist them out through the opening that we've created in the port side of the hull. Then we'll go after the door.
We wanted to know what is motivating these people. Is it the spirit of adventure, exhuming buried treasure? Is it the spirit of adventure solving an old mystery? Well, the correct answer is that Peter Gimbel wants to make a film about the salvage attempt and sell it to one of the networks, and then open the safes on live network television. The spirit of adventure meets the media age in the Atlantic Ocean.
3D is back, and in a big way, with the release of the film Coming At You. Here's Howard Joffe coming at you.
Look out! 3D is back, and the technique developed to do it is more impressive than ever before. The movie's called Coming At You, and it does.
It is probably the most unique experience that anyone can have in a motion picture theater now. It is the first major 3D film in 25 years. It's the first time 3D's ever been combined with Dolby. So you've got an audiovisual experience that's beyond description.
Gene Quintano, sometime actor, part-time writer, and full-time businessman, is largely responsible for Coming At You. He did the screenplay, he starred in it, and he is the executive producer. His challenge was to outdo the special effects of movies like Star Wars and Close Encounters.
The audience is responding to special effects one-upmanship. So 3D, inherent in its nature, had the potential for incredible special effects.
The process is new. A double-lensed camera puts the images on split-frame 35mm film. That hasn't been done before. The vehicle is a low-budget Western that cost only $3.5 million to make. Quintano calls that lunch money compared to most Hollywood productions nowadays. Moviegoers in 3D glasses will see bats and rats and flaming arrows coming at them in a production whose title warns them beforehand. Howard Joffe for NBC News.
Next on CityPulse at 6, a look at the day's proceedings in the courts and tonight on the streets of Toronto, when CityPulse at 6 continues in a moment. From the courts today, a father whom police allege tried to capitalize on his son's misfortune went on trial today, charged with obstructing justice. Last October, John Papa of Scarborough witnessed his 9-year-old son being struck by a motorcyclist who left the scene of the accident. The next day, 16-year-old Ricky Rogers was apprehended and charged with criminal negligence in the operation of a motor vehicle and failing to remain at the scene of an accident. Police allege Papa approached the parents of the Rogers boy and offered to drop the charges for $5,000. The charges were laid, and Papa faces up to 2 years in prison if convicted. Now, the latest from the streets of Toronto in this live report from our fifth-floor newsroom. Here's night assignment editor Glenn Cole.
Gordon, 4 veteran Metro Hold-Up Squad officers are up for the Canadian Bankers Law Enforcement Award this month for cracking 7 robberies pulled off by the so-called Dirty Tricks Gang. Staff Sergeants Bill Scolar and Tony Farrell and Sergeants Vic Bartlett and Leo Campbell confronted a gang of robbers outside a Royal Bank on Laird Drive March the 12th. The thieves had weapons and $25,000 in their possession when they tried to ram a police roadblock. The 4 officers opened fire, killing 1 man and wounding 2 others. The rest of the gang was rounded up later that day. The Dirty Tricks Gang earned its reputation by using unusual diversionary tactics to make getaways, including spreading nail-studded lengths of garden hose for puncturing tires. And a short while ago, we showed you Willie Winkle on motorized roller skates. And tonight, we have an example of what you can see every day this week at the Bay at Bloor and Young between 12 o'clock noon and 1:30. These are several of Canada's gold, silver, and bronze roller skating medalists, and their purpose is to promote the Big Brother Roller Capades this Sunday. Now, this is open for everybody to either pledge or roller skate. It begins behind the Bay and winds up at the CN Tower when free munchies will be served. Now, because I'm an honorary Big Brother and because I really believe in Big Brothers and what they do, here's my deal. The first little brother that calls me after I'm off the air at 867-7979 will get my pledge for $50. Now, if you want to pledge or if you want to join the skating on Sunday, all you have to do is call Big Brothers tomorrow. Okay, that number again for only little brothers, 867-7979. That's Street Beat for tonight. Gordon.
That is CityPulse for tonight. I'll have the next edition tonight at 10. Until then, thanks for tuning in. Good night.
Tonight at 8, 2 young people with a mental handicap try to make a life together when Richard Thomas and Julie Kavner star in No Other Love. Then at 11, Burt Lancaster and Peter Falk are part of the Allied drive-through France in Castle Heap. Great movies tonight.